Moving on to some football, because how much can we actually talk about the House Settlement and College Sports Commission? We want to talk ball. We want to talk games. We talk about playoff format. Yeah, maybe a little bit more in the off-season debate topics. But Ryan Day, head coach of Ohio State, weighed in on 4 automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten and why they deserve it. Here's what he had to say to ESPN. Quote, "We are in the Big Ten and we have 18 teams and some of the best programs in the country. I feel like we deserve at least 4 automatic qualifiers. If you don't have those automatic qualifiers, you're less likely to play a game like we're doing this year against Texas because it just won't make sense. If we do, then you're more likely to do that because we play 9 conference games in the Big Ten. The SEC doesn't, so it's not equal." And I actually, coming from Ryan Day's perspective, I completely agree with everything he said. In the event in which you don't have those automatic qualifiers and you need to have the best win-loss record, he's 100% right. Why would you risk playing a great team in the non-conference that could expose you, could beat you? If they beat you, now that's one more loss. Had you played a powder puff team, then you're sitting there at, say, 11-1 as opposed to 10-2, or 10-2 as opposed to 9-3. So yeah, your win-loss record looks a little better. And based on what we learned last year, it doesn't matter who you play in the non-conference. Look at Indiana. If you have a great win-loss record, you're going to make the college football playoff. So everything that Ryan Day says, I agree with from his vantage point. But if you look at it from another vantage point, let's go back 2 years and look at the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama played Texas, ironically enough. At that time, Texas was in the Big 12. Alabama played Texas in the non-conference. They lost to Texas in the non-conference. They went on to win the rest of their games. They were 12-1. They were the SEC champs. And they made the college football playoff because of their strength of schedule and because of their strength of record. The loss to Texas, albeit discouraging, albeit gut-wrenching in some ways, did not crush their strength of record, strength of resume. Now, you can also use that year and say, well, Florida State should have gotten in. They were 13-0. Their quarterback got hurt. Had their quarterback not gotten hurt, then they would have been in the college football playoff and Alabama would have been left out. All that's completely fair. What I'm suggesting, though, that in the 12-team playoff era, a loss to a great non-conference team might not necessarily be the nail in the coffin for your playoff candidacy. But I also think from Ryan Day's perspective, he's basically following suit with his conference commissioner. Tony Petitti is desperately trying to get 4 automatic qualifiers into the future college football playoff format because he ultimately wants the SEC to play a 9th conference game. I don't blame him at all. His teams are already doing that. Therefore, he wants to put a playoff format in place that's going to basically protect his top 4 teams every single year, regardless of what happens in the non-conference. Totally support Tony Petitti's, view of what the college football playoff should look like from the Big Ten commissioner seat. Whereas Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, is sitting there saying, I kind of like the 5+12 model where the 5 automatic qualifiers go to the conference champions of the top 5 conferences. And then there's 11 at-large teams that would be put in place by the College Football Playoff Committee. He's in that boat because the SEC currently plays 8 conference games. That 9th game against a non-conference would result in 9 Power 5 opponents, and then 3 opponents that wouldn't be considered as challenging. So therefore, most SEC teams will go 3-0 in the non-conference against lower level teams. They'll beat in some cases, in other cases, not so much. In some cases, they'll beat that Power 5 team they play in the non-conference, and they'll have only 8 really losable games within their own conference. So their records, win-loss, will be a little better than teams that would play 9 conference games. That should be somewhat self-explanatory. But I look at the SEC and I really hope, personally, I hope they adopt that 9th conference game. I want them to do that. I have always said from the very beginning, if you've listened to this show, if you listen to any other platform I've ever been on, the number one problem that I have right now with college football is scheduling inequality. I want everyone to play the same schedule. I wish everybody could play the same challenging schedule, the same level of opponent, the same amount of games against conference teams, the same amount of games against non-conference Power 5 teams. I want everyone to be playing the exact same schedule, but that's not reality right now. And if that means the Big Ten goes from 9 conference games to 8 conference games, then so be it. I'm great with that. If that means the SEC goes from 8 conference games to 9 conference games, so be it. I'm great with that. I just want everyone to play on the same playing field. And that includes Notre Dame in some cases. Like I want Notre Dame to have the same teams that they play every year. They don't have to be in a conference, but I want them to play a schedule that is comparable to everyone else in the sport. That's just what I want, because I think at that point you could fairly measure what teams are, because they will have played equal competition. But the reality is this: the SEC teams 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, you might not agree with this, but this is my own vantage point. I think if you talk to insiders and coaches and players, I think if you look at teams 7, 8, 9, 10 in the SEC, they're stronger than teams 7, 8, 9, 10 in the Big Ten in most cases. So the team that finishes, say, 8th in the SEC is probably, in most cases, a little stronger than the team that might finish 8th in the Big Ten. Now, you take the top 2 or 3. So 1, 2, 3 in the SEC, 1, 2, 3 in the Big Ten. I think they're the exact same. And really the last couple of years, the top 3 in the Big Ten has been slightly superior to that of the top 3 in the SEC. Just look at the national championships that were won by Michigan and Ohio State. So I'm fine with automatic qualifiers as long as everybody's playing the same schedule. And from Ryan Day's perspective, I totally support why he feels the way he feels. He wants to continue to encourage high-level, highly competitive non-conference games, but he also wants to make sure that his team won't be penalized in the event in which they lose that non-conference game. Because tell me this, do you really think there's a realistic scenario in the near term that Ohio State won't be in the top 4 teams in the Big Ten? I can't envision that. Not right now. Not with how top-heavy the Big Ten is right now. So I totally understand his point of view. I totally understand the Big Ten's point of view. But also at the same time, I kind of understand the SEC's point of view as well. So it'll be fascinating to see which continues to play out as they finally start to nail down exactly what the future playoff format might look like.